Well, how about that? Jaguars win 27-24 against the Arizona Cardinals out west in a game the Jaguars were trying to give to the Cardinals multiple times. That was frustrating to watch in a lot of ways. Super stressful. The old cardiac cats were back again, but they figured out a way to do it again. And this is something that I think is just maybe part of our team now. It's not going to look good a lot of the time. It's not going to look pretty. The Jaguars are going to kind of play down to their competition a lot of the times. I'm scared for next week against the Titans, even though they're 1-10. But the Jaguars find a way to do it, and they are now 7-4, officially the sixth seed in the NFL playoffs this year, which in the AFC playoffs, which I thought was interesting because I thought for sure if they had a tiebreaker, they would get that spot. I guess I could check again, but yeah, right now it says that the Jaguars are in the sixth seed. But cheers to a Jags win. Ah, Sapporo, so good. If you haven't tried Sapporo, give it a shot. It's really good light lager, one of my favorites. But Jaguars pulled this off, 27-24. Overall thoughts, huge takeaways. Liam Cohen, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? The Jaguars should never have been in that situation to begin with. Let's be real. It's 4th and 1 at what? And they're on what, the 25-yard line? Chip shot for Cam Little, up by 3. It's 4th and 1. So if they just kick the field goal, they go up by 6, and you force the Cardinals to go all the way down the field to get a touchdown to win the game. And who knows what happens? You could get a turnover. The Cardinals could score right away, and then all you need to do is get a field goal to win the game yourself. They had no timeouts. There's 90 seconds left, so you're forcing them to go all the way down the field, which they hadn't done in a while, to do that. And I just don't know why he would do that. It was literally a repeat. I thought for sure it was going to be a repeat of the Bengals game earlier this year. If you guys remember, I think it was 4th and 4, and the Jaguars are up by 3 at the time, and that's the game where Brian Thomas Jr. dropped the ball over the middle, and they ended up that next drive. The Bengals got the ball back, and Jake Browning leads the 97 yards to win the game with barely any time left. And so I was literally thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to do it again. They're going to lose a game they shouldn't away on a team that they're better than because Liam Cohen won't kick a field goal in that situation. Now, thank God the defense was able to hold them to just a field goal. They get to overtime, and who knows how, but somehow they catch Jacoby Brissett finally looking like a backup and throwing a deep ball on 4th and 4 into double coverage. And good job by Dewey Wingard for making the play on the ball, not getting interference, and getting away with that win. But just really concerning level of coaching decisions on that last play. Now, they won the game, and winning cures all problems, but I was literally in the middle of writing my post-game, script of what I'm going to say after the game, my final thoughts in the fourth quarter as the Jags, they stopped them on 4th down the previous drive. The Jags had the ball back with about 2 minutes left. They just got to get a first down to win the game. If not, they just kick the field goal. I'm literally there writing down who's my offensive player of the game, who's my defensive player of the game. And then I literally see it's 4th and 1. I see the offense back on the field, and I immediately stop writing. I'm like, oh no. And then of course they do some stupid play. Trevor rolls out and he has to throw it away. And I'm like, oh no, here we go again. But it shouldn't have been that hard. This was a trap game in every sense of the word. I know I was joking about it in the middle or in the beginning of this video. I was joking about it, but I had a bad feeling about this game since before the season. Since the schedule came out, I saw at Arizona, and my mind immediately went back to 2017 when the Jags were actually good, and I think they were actually 7-3 at the time, facing a 4-6 Cardinals team against Blaine Gabbert, and they ended up giving that game away. Now, it didn't really amount to anything in the whole scheme of the season, the playoffs that year, but there was just something about at Arizona where my mind went back there, and I was like, that doesn't feel good to me. I think the Jags lose that game. I don't even know. I don't care where either team is at the end of the season. And so going to the game, I know I picked them to win in my preview. I said this was a trap game. Something doesn't feel right. Backup quarterback, top tight end in the league, everything is working to where the Jags end up losing this game in a fluky way, and everything was going in that game for that to happen. I mean, you want to talk about flukes? How about the beginning of the game? It's crazy how good the game started for the Jags, and then how it just slipped away so quickly. We're talking about opening drive on defense, get a good stop. Opening drive on the offense, huge play by ETN, get down, score touchdown in like 5 plays. One of the cleanest offensive drives I've seen from the Jags all year. Trevor looking good, the offensive line's clicking. Defense gets another stop, and then we're down at like the 10-yard line, and then a sack fumble for a touchdown. And all day, third and long, the offense had no answers for Mr. Fire in his gut, Jonathan Gannon, his blitzes on third down. And the Jags were that close to taking the bus home and not having enough fire in their gut to win the game. But anyways, but yeah, first quarter, it was looking all Jags. Strange was getting back in the fold. You know, they were limiting McBride, which I said was the key to the game on defense. The Cardinals were not even trying to run the ball. They're just going all against the pass, which is what every team is trying to do against the Jags defense this year. They don't even care about running the ball because they know, one, they can't run the ball against the Jags defense, and two, they can attack the passing defense, and that's, again, what they did this game. Brissett ended with another crazy stat line for a backup quarterback, 33 for 49, 317 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. Meanwhile, Trevor's over here with his typical Trevor Lawrence stat line. He actually got over 250 yards passing this game, so that's cool. But 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. We'll get to those soon. Gosh. And then, so from that moment at 7-7, everything was on the table. I was like, okay, this is the kind of game it's going to be. This isn't going to be a relaxing, crack a beer, and put your feet up and watch the Jags dominate like last week was against the playoff Chargers. No, this against the lowly bottom feeder Cardinals, this was going to be a dogfight, and boy was it. Second quarter is when things went really crazy. I mean, the Cardinals were dominating time of possession in the first half. I think they had over 20 minutes. The Jags like 9 minutes. You know, Cardinals big touchdown drive down the field in the second quarter. You know, taking up 6 minutes. Then the Jags come out and punt. And the Cardinals come out, miss a field goal, thank God, to end the half at 14-10. And the third quarter comes out, and our offense is looking legendary, looking awesome. And then Trevor throws an interception in the end zone. I won't say it's technically his fault. Calais Campbell, amazing player, bats the ball, and it goes right into the hands. Just killer stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. Fluky, like games like this. Late in the season, fluky things like that just tend to happen, and it's like things were looking like it's just there's no way the Jags are going to win this game when stuff like that's happening, when sack fumbles are popping up in the air and going right into the defensive lineman for a touchdown, when you know balls are batted and it's going right to the corner when Jacoby Myers has an easy touchdown right there. But I'll hand it to the Jags offense after that, bounce back immediately. Parker Washington, amazing player. Love Parker Washington. Gets a great punt return down to the, I believe it was the Cardinals 27-yard line. And then bing, bang, boom, right down the field. Touchdown. Jacoby Myers' first touchdown of the day. First touchdown of the Jaguars. Good for him. And then Cardinals punt again. Great defensive stop by the Jags. And then Trevor, just the second interception of the day. This one was right down the middle. Not a good decision. The defensive was a linebacker. Who was it? For sure. It was Davis Gaither. I don't know. Davis Gaither totally baited him. Was going to blitz. Dropped out right in the middle of the field. Trevor, I guess, just didn't see him. Threw it right to him. And then it's like, oh boy, we got a game. Defense holds him, thankfully. And then we got a punt fest after that. Another interception by Trevor. Buda Baker got him on that one. I don't know. At that point, I'm like, what are you doing? Cardinals go down and score a touchdown to make it 21-7. 21-7. Jacoby Brissett right down to the middle of the field. And that one was a horrible sequence there. I mean, we're talking about on offense, Jags call a timeout for no reason. Even Liam Cohen was like, what are you doing? The play clock goes all the way down to 0. Trevor snaps it and then throws the interception. And then like 2 plays later, some guy named Dortch is running down the middle of the field for like 40 yards for a touchdown. And I'm like, great, here we go again. But again, something about this team, they know how to bounce back. And that's the difference here, is that old Jags teams, I feel like, fold up their tents when they're faced with adversity. The Doug Peterson Jaguars did not know how to. Well, I guess I can't say that because I guess they had a lot of good comebacks. The 2022 Jaguars knew how to do it. The 2022 Doug Peterson Jaguars knew how to bounce back. But 23 and 24, if the Jaguars got into a hole, if anything happened, they'd fold up their tents and give the game away. But after that sequence, that horrible sequence of interception and then touchdown, down by 4, Trevor, I think, has maybe the best drive of the game. Goes down and scores a touchdown to Parker Washington. Some of the throws I saw on that play was like, okay, there's Trevor. All right, he's back in this. He's not in his own head. He's letting it rip, as they're saying, and stepping up in the pocket. Great throw to Parker Washington in the end zone. And then here's where it is: 1:50 to go, and the Cardinals go for it on fourth down. Don't get it, and then we have that awful decision to go for it on 4th and 1 when he could just kick a field goal. And then all of that stuff happens. We get into overtime, and it's looking like it's almost a repeat of the Raiders game, as the offense looks like it's going down the field really good. And then Tim Patrick just doesn't turn his back and look. Trevor's got a beautiful pass right to him, beautiful play design right to the guy, and he doesn't turn around and catch it. And so they get the field goal, and then the Cardinals, the Cardinals aren't a good team. I actually think Jacoby Brissett, not a bad quarterback. I think teams are going to pay, maybe not pay him like good money, but I think teams are going to pay him maybe slightly less than like Daniel Jones money to come in and be a bridge gap starter for them. The Cardinals might pay him to keep him, because we know Kyler isn't going to be there. Kyler Murray has played his last down for the Arizona Cardinals. He's not going to be there. Jacoby Brissett has been really leading that offense a lot better than the Kyler Murray ever really did. He had a heck of a game again, but the Jags pulled it out. I mean, talk about a stressful game, and talk about a game I thought they were going to lose like 50 times in that game. They still pulled it out to win, and that's the key. At the end of the day, I said this before, nobody cares who you played. Nobody cares, by how much you beat a team, or if it was home or away. They just care about the winning, the record at the end of the day. You look at the Patriots right now. They're 10-2. Nobody cares that they've played the easiest schedule in the NFL, or if how many one-score games they've won. They just see the 10-2 record, number 1 seed in the AFC. So for the Jags, you look at them right now, 7-4, and yeah, they beat a Cardinals team in overtime. But this is a Cardinals team that's been in almost a one-score game every single game this year, almost, and was at home, and a Jaguars team that is just weird when they play away games, especially. And so you look at the Jags, 7-4, at a foothold on the wild card, and an opportunity to fight for the division in a few weeks with the Colts coming to town. So as much as I'm lambasting Liam Cohen for that decision on 4th down to not kick the field goal and put the whole season, put the whole win in jeopardy, I will give it to him that he knows how to call plays. He knows how to get his team to bounce back, to stay level-headed, because that would have been a catastrophic loss. Not the worst loss of this year. And if they would have lost that game, it doesn't mean that the season's over or anything. It's, they're still 6-5, but being 7-4 is miles apart from being 6-5 at this point of the year, with how tight the AFC is. I mean, we got to remember that the AFC this year, 10 wins might not get you in this year. You got to have 10 wins plus tiebreakers plus division wins plus conference record to get in the playoffs this year in the AFC. We got the Ravens and Texans and the Chiefs nipping at the heels of that 6th and 7th wild card, especially with Buffalo losing. I mean, like I said, you need to get to 11 to lock the playoffs this year. So, do I think the Jaguars can get to 11? Maybe. I think they have a really good shot of getting to 10 since they play the Titans twice and the Jets. A win like this really helps. If you lose this game, down the stretch, it gets a little dicey, and we might be looking at a 9-8 missing the playoffs, which would still be good for the Jags in recent years. But to not make the playoffs after how this year has been gone would have been extremely disappointing. So now that they're 7-4, I think their chances go up a lot. And they have the Titans next. I think the very winnable game. Titans are 1-10. They play better than I think what their record says, but I think they still are the worst team in the NFL. Their defense is pretty good, but their offense is just terrible. But it is in Nashville, and all Jags fans know what happens in Nashville, and the Jags don't want to remember all the things that have happened in that stadium there. But let's look at some of the stats here. Let's look at the run game. Travis Etienne, another big day, 15 carries for 85 yards. Obviously, he had that really long 45-yard one early on, and I thought for sure the Jaguars were gonna maul the Cardinals in the run game. But it was very clear after that first drive what the game plan was, and they shut down the run after that. I would have liked to see the Jaguars run a little bit more. They only had 28 carries in total. When you see that Etienne had 15 and Tootin had 7, that's only 22 carries between the both of them. I think the Jags' winning formula is for 30 carries between Tootin and Etienne overall. Trevor had a pretty good day on the ground too. He had a few crucial first downs with his legs that I thought was really good. All in all, I think the Cardinals did something that I think a lot of teams have done this year, and that's stop the run and force second and third and longs and force the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hand and force him to make bad plays. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, the Jaguars lost the turnover margin by 3 and still won that game. As much as we might want to complain that how could the Jags look that bad, they still won the game while losing the turnover margin by 3. I can't even fathom that as a Jags fan. You know, in the whole time, I was thinking in the third and fourth quarter, I was like, the defense needs to make a turnover. If the defense does not make a crazy turnover, we need like a Devin Lloyd pick 6 or like a Gardeck fumble or something. Like we need something to turn the tide, because if not, I don't. This offense is just turning the ball over too much, and we never got it. We got a few really good key defensive plays. Josh Hines Allen had a great sack in overtime. A few sacks by Dennis Gardeck, Devin Lloyd got in on the action, and even Devon Hamilton got in. Caused disruption, and I think that was kind of the saving grace. In the defense in the secondary, I thought we had some pretty good plays by Buster Brown. Braswell got in there a little bit. I didn't see exactly a lot of the injury news because I didn't see Newsome in there a lot. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if he got pulled or if he got hurt. I'll have to check on that later. But this secondary, who's down a lot of players, down a lot of talent, still making plays when it mattered. And though they did give up a lot of plays, I mean, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride both had pretty solid days. I mean, Michael Wilson went over 100 yards. I mean, he's by no means a number one receiver in the NFL, but he's really their only option on offense besides McBride, and they went to him a lot. But besides that, defense, I think, actually did a pretty good job at containing the offense, bending them and not breaking, and then coming up big at the end to kind of close out the game, because the offense wasn't going to close it out because of those late fourth down decisions. So the offense did come up big. I guess, does this count? I think this counts as another game-winning drive by Trevor Lawrence. I think that's his, fourth, fifth of the year. So good for him. I know people are going to hate on him on the 3 interceptions. Yeah, the 3 interceptions, I think one of them wasn't his fault. I think the bat down the one in the red zone, I don't think was his fault. I think that was an easy touchdown, but it gets batted up in the air for an interception. That's just really unfortunate. Good play by Calais Campbell. But the other 2, I think, are on him. I think he got baited. I don't know if something short-circuited or... I mean, Gannon is a pretty good defensive coordinator. Make fun of him all you want for who he is as a head coach, and their team's not very good. And I think it was pretty disrespectful that he punched a player earlier this season. But he has pretty good defensive mind. He really had this offense kind of shook, especially when it came to third down. So I think those two interceptions, one was just an incredible play by Budda Baker, but still Trevor can't give him that opportunity to make that. So I definitely put 2 of the interceptions on Trevor. He did not have his best day, but he still made the plays when it counted. I will give that to him. He still made some really good throws. Especially some to, I know, like Parker Washington down the sideline in overtime. That was an amazing throw and catch. That one touchdown. The touchdown to Jacoby Myers, they called a zero blitz, and he put it right in the spot for Jacoby Myers to get the touchdown. So with Trevor Lawrence, again, up and down, inconsistent. He had some great high-level plays that only a few players in the NFL can make, and then he had about 2 or 3 of those bonehead Trevor Lawrence plays that is the reason why people will clown on him and stuff. So all in all, typical Trevor Lawrence game. But he still won the game. He made the plays at the end to get them to score a field goal in the end. So you got to give him credit where credit's due. We can criticize him for the interception and some of the plays early on. The first half wasn't that good, but he came back and played a pretty good second half and willed his team to win. So I'll give him credit for that. Used his legs a little bit. Like to see that more. In the receiving game, Brenton Strange came back, 5 receptions for 93 yards. Boy, did we miss him. Boy, did we miss a weapon at tight end. And he led the team in receiving this game. And from the opening drive, I mean, his presence was felt. And we can't even fathom what he's doing in the run game, blocking as far as that. Parker Washington, another amazing game. He's just stacking some really consistent games. Maybe not every game he's having crazy numbers, but it feels like every game he's making plays for this team to win. You could almost argue that he's having a bigger role and impact on this game that Brian Thomas has had this entire year. And yeah, a lot of that has to do with Brian Thomas Jr. being out with injury, but even if Brian Thomas is in, I feel like Parker Washington is a more consistent player right now. He got in the action, and the punt return had 2 really good punt returns, one that set us up for a touchdown, and then also got a receiving touchdown as well. Jacoby Myers, 4 for 50 and a touchdown. Good for him to get on the action. You definitely see that chemistry with him and Trevor. I think he's right now our wide receiver 1 until BTJ figures his stuff out. Travis Etienne got in on some of the action too. So good day overall in the offense in the second half. First drive was great, but then they really stalled out for basically the entire rest of the first half. So good for them to bounce back and get back into the action and kind of win that game. And good job by the defense, just playing complimentary football. Trevor Lawrence throws an interception. Okay, the defense bounces back and gets a punt. That's what you need to see from this team to win games like this, and that's what they did. Good for the Jags. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. That was an exhausting win, exhausting game. You know, the scarred Jags fan in me can't help but see a lot of the things that are happening in the game and be like, all right, it's going to be one of those games. They're going to lose, and it's going to be a rough week, rough Thanksgiving week. But no, they overcame that, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the San Francisco game where there was spots in that game where it looked like the Jaguars were going to win, but they ended up pulling it out. Same with the Raiders as well. And this almost feels like retribution for the Bengals game early in the year. I alluded to it earlier how this felt like, oh no, they're going to lose this game just like they did in the Bengals week 2. And then obviously the same things happened. Just the only difference here was that the defense actually stopped them to win the game. I remember saying in the post game or in the after that game that this will be a good thing. The Jags lost to the Bengals. If they end up making good on it later in the year, stealing a few victories and learning from it. And I think though Liam Cohen didn't learn from that decision, and that almost cost them the game, I think the team in general learned from it, learned how to battle back, and even though things didn't go your way, you still ended up willing yourself to win the game. So good for that. Good for them. Let's get into Offensive Player of the Game. Offensive Player of the Game, I think I got to give it to Parker Washington. Not only for what he did on offense, but also on special teams as well. I guess I could put him in for special teams player of the game as well. Him or Cam Little. I think Cam Little was great in this game as well. But Parker Washington, like I said, 71 yards receiving, caught almost everything that came to him. In overtime, he had a big catch down the sideline, which is interesting because he's usually known as kind of like that slot receiver, kind of like what Christian Kirk used to be. But to see him just matched up on the outside and to win on a go ball and on a jump ball, that's pretty cool. I didn't know he had that in his game. So good for him. Overall, amazing game. I think he deserves definitely being on the field as the true number 2 or number 3 wide receiver at all times. I think he deserves to be on this team long term. I think this is his 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if he's eligible to be re-signed, but I want players like that on the team. I want players like that on the Jags. I think Parker Washington, 6th-round pick, chop wood, carry water, his whole mentality, his whole game is what the NFL is all about, and I want him on the Jags long term. It just makes me smile watching him play. So awesome for Parker. Great player. Defensive player of the game, I'm actually going to go, I think, Josh Hines Allen. I think I went with him last week, but I think he was all over the field this week. And he did get a sack in the game, so that's good. But he also, I don't know if they show the pressures here, but he was destroying the tackles he was going up against. Even Paris Johnson, their number one left tackle, who was a pretty solid player, he was going up against him and really whooping a lot. He was good in the run game. I saw some really good tackles for loss. He was lined up on both the right and left sometimes. With Trayvon Walker out, he really needed to step up. In the pregame, I actually had Trayvon Walker as my X factor for defense because I thought, Josh Hines Allen's going to be busy with Paris Johnson. Trayvon Walker's going to eat on that right side with whoever's playing right tackle since Jonah Williams might be out. So I was like, once I saw Trayvon Walker out, I was like, oh boy, this might be a pretty rough day for the D line. But Josh Hines Allen was all over the field, putting pressure on Jacoby Brissett. Good for Campanile. I thought he had some awesome blitzes, really well-timed blitzes, especially on 2nd and 3rd down, and even on a few 4th downs where I was like, just play coverage, let's just hope for the best. But no, he set the house on a few of those and forced Brissett to kind of make a quick decision, make a bad decision, because Brissett, say what you will, he's a backup, but he is extremely cerebral. He's extremely knowledgeable at where to go with the football. So he was making quick decisions all day, but if you had him back there holding the ball, he was going to end up getting sacked eventually. So good for Josh Hines Allen to get in on the action. There were some really good defensive performances all over the field. Dennis Gardeck had 1.5 sacks. Devin Lloyd made his presence felt a lot. Great games by them. And in the back end, Buster Brown made a few good plays. Dewey Wingard, the last play of the game, made a great play on the ball to win the game. Defensive player, I'm going to go with Josh Hines Allen, though. I think he really stepped up, really led, and really did well. Going around the league really quick, not around the league, but really just around the AFC South, the Titans did lose the Seahawks 30-24. I'll have to see exactly how that happened because when I was looking up, I saw it was 30-10, so maybe it was garbage time. But Seahawks handled that business. Titans 1-10. The Jags face them next week. The Colts finally lose again to the Chiefs, 23-20 in overtime. I didn't get to watch that game, unfortunately, but I'm very eager to watch kind of the highlights of that or watch kind of that game back and see what happened because I saw early on the Colts were up 14-3, and that's just what they do. The Colts, I feel like they always get up to a big early lead and they force the teams to kind of claw back. Thankfully, the Chiefs did claw back. I was rooting for the Chiefs in this game because, like I said, I think 10 or 11 wins is what you need to get in the playoffs this year, and all that can kind of be wiped away if you just handle the division. And yeah, I mean the Colts are 8-3 now. Yeah, of course they're going to get double-digit wins. They're probably going to end the season at this point 11-6 or 12-5. But if the Jags can actually, win those games or even split with them, they do have a shot at winning the division. That just kind of opens up the door, cracks the door for the Jaguars. If they just take care of, like I said, the easier games on their schedule and they beat the Colts at home, maybe. We'll see. There could be a shot at the division, but we'll see. The Colts definitely have a much tougher schedule with that loss there. Brings them to 8-3, and now with the Jaguars at 7-4, they're one game back. And I believe the Colts have the Texans at home, and the Jags have the Titans next game. I think the Colts are going to win that Texans game, so I think they'll be 9-4 or 9-3 going up against. I think the Jaguars should beat the Titans. Hopefully, be 9-3 versus 8-4 at home in Duval. That's going to be. I mean, that could be flexed if we're going to be honest. But that's going to be a crazy game. So that happened. Colts lost, and then the Texans beat the Bills on Thursday night. Crazy game. I don't know if you guys watched that, but that defense is insane, and I'm afraid that loss to the Texans could propel the Texans to making the playoffs. I think with that defense, they might be getting Stroud back maybe this week or next week. They legitimately could end the season at 10-7 and squeak into the playoffs in the 7th seed. They could. After being 0-3 and clawing their way back, shame on the Jags for letting them back in, but with that defense, anything is possible. But yeah, all of the AFC South race is still alive. The Jaguars needed to win that game, even though it wasn't a must-win game. The difference between winning that game and losing it, the difference between that is being 7-4 and having a foothold in the wild card and a chance to win the division, and being 6-5 and on the outside looking into the playoffs and having to claw your way back and hopefully get the 7th seed. That's the difference right now. That's how tight, how competitive the AFC is right now. So that's why a loss to the Cardinals would have hurt so bad right there. Now you have an opportunity with the Titans. We can't overlook them. We know, Jaguars fans, we can't overlook them, but Jaguars have an opportunity to be 8-4 in week 13? Or 14, I don't even remember anymore. But crazy game. Just moving forward, this sets up so nicely for the Jags. The NFL is crazy. The NFL is just week by week, things change so much. We're on top of the world after beating the Chargers at home in dominating fashion, and we were this close to being back in the same old Jags depression mode if they would have lost that game. But they didn't, so we can rejoice as Jags fans. We can take a deep breath and just say, hey, that's the NFL. We survived to win. I don't care how bad it looked, or maybe a few plays we didn't get, or maybe our quarterback not playing the best. We won the game. It was an away game out west. The Jaguars have to go out west one more time against the Broncos, and I think in that game, I think there's going to be no pressure on that game. I think this game had a lot of pressure because of what the Texans did on Thursday night. They won the game. They keep their lead in the wild card. Like I said, it's all in front of them. The Jaguars just keep improving, get healthier. We might have a few guys coming back next week. Hopefully, things will be looking good. I'm excited for this year. So, hey, everyone, let's enjoy our Thanksgiving. Let's enjoy a week. The Jaguars win. Smile. Monday morning's going to be that much better. Coffee's going to taste better. Going to work's not going to be that bad. It's only a 2 or 3 day week for most people. And we're going to have a nice week holiday celebrating a Jags win and enjoying some Thanksgiving football. So, cheers to that. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll have my preview show for next week coming out hopefully on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for more Jags shipping content coming forward. So thanks for watching, you guys. Go Jags, and I'll see you later.